Welcome back to the JK Build Series. Today, we're getting shafted. Well, now that the JK's been on its lift and long arms for a little while, it's time for its next step in evolution. The factory front drive shaft is getting a little worse for wear, so it's time for a conversion. Now, we've got two options available on the website. We can either do a flange adapter on that front axle, where we're just adapting a yoke to the round flange, or we can do a full conversion and put a yoke there. Today, we are opting to do the flange adapter. Now, there's pros and cons to both. The flange adapter is much easier. We don't have to deal with the front pinion. It's a real slap together job, real nice. Now, the benefit to going for the full conversion is fewer components, and also you do get a slightly longer shaft, which will help mitigate any driveline vibrations that you might see at a taller lift height. But with this kit, we've got our shaft, our flange adapter for the front axle, and our double cardan yoke for the transfer case. As mentioned, we are doing the flange adapter kit this time. So we are going to have to get this adapter onto the U-joint of the drive shaft. It's a pretty typical U-joint style install, only about half of that kind of install. A lot of times people use a bench vise. If you don't have that available, you can use a C-clamp, which is a great alternative for like a trail fix or something like that. So that's what we're going to show you today. And take two. Now that we've got the flange adapter on the new drive shaft, it's time to get this old piece of junk out of here. A little awkward just shoving a pry bar in there, but it's easy. It's what we got. Make it work. Some of these bolts have a little bit more Loctite than the others, and I'm just not here for it, so here comes the gun. That didn't do it either. The hell, Jeep. Look at all that blue garbage. Now that the front's all loose and taken apart, even more annoying than that blue Loctite is we've got roughly 1,000 of these little bolts we got to do in a tighter area, but not to worry, it's not difficult. So a little wrench I was using had about half the teeth it's supposed to. Luckily, my guy Adam here had a different one I can use. Much better if I could stay on the bolt. Now with the 1,000 bolts I took out of that transfer case cup, ready for this thing to come out. Maybe. Well, I guess it wants to stay. There she goes. All right, as we already kind of knew, but to show you guys, the boot on this joint from the factory had ripped open, losing grease, starting to make noise. That's primarily what prompted us to do this. And as you can see, this assembly versus this assembly, this double cardan joint is going to be far more accepting of these lift heights and steeper operating angles. One of the other kind of bonuses, if you will, to doing this, you can see a size difference between these two shafts. Now, this is much heavier duty, even though it's smaller, much heavier duty, but also it clears up some of that room. So sometimes when we have to do those exhaust spacers on the newer 3.6 models, we don't have that same issue with the smaller shaft. Now, with the factory shaft off, we wanted to take a quick moment to show you the difference between the two kits. Like I said, we're doing an adapter, flange adapter, just like the factory. That's what's going on here today. So it's going to bolt right up to that flange, easy peasy. Now, the alternative would be doing a full yoke. Again, definitely has its benefits. One of the scarier parts, though, if we're not as well versed with drivetrain, is when you to do this swap, you're going to have to take off the pinion nut, and behind there is what's called a crush sleeve, and that's going to determine the preload on the pinion bearings. And if we don't get that just right, we can have serious issues inside the differential here. So a lot of people, that's fine. We definitely would recommend a professional installation of that. But if we're looking for the easy slam dunk, flange adapter is the way to go. Last piece of the puzzle before the shaft goes in, we got to change out this cup for the yoke on the T-case. All right, cups off. We got to get this O-ring out of here. Get it into the new yoke. Reuse the same nut, and we'll be back in business. And after that, once we're all set, we're going to torque that to spec. Now with everything in place, we're ready to get the shaft in. We're going to use these supplied bolts on the double cardan end and these supplied 12-point bolts at the flange end. You know, we mentioned before with the exhaust clearances with the factory drive shaft on the 3.6 the newer generation JKs. This happens to be a 3.6, and it's at full droop on the hoist. Look at all that room we're getting here. That's beautiful. Like I said, it's a great side benefit to doing this conversion. If this video helped you, make sure you give us a like, leave us a comment. Make sure you're following us on all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. What am I saying? What do you want me to do? I'm stuck. It's not working. There we go.